Hi, welcome to Insider Yachting. We have Jazz of Monaco up for review today. She's a beautiful, very interesting layout, 2007 Benetti. She is very different to any of the boats that you'll see on the US market. So that's why we're reviewing it today, as she's a great alternative option with some very cool exterior spaces. So let's get started and take a look at the brochure. So she's 100 feet, hair under 99.1 feet, launched in 2007. Looking at some of the specifications, you'll see 23 feet 7-inch beam, which is a pretty good beam for this size boat. Launched in 2007. In fact, she has a fairly shallow draft as well for the size, just being 5 feet 11 inches. She has a fiberglass hull. All of the boats that we've seen today have been fiberglass hulls, both Blueprint and Lucy Bell being the other two that we reviewed. She is over in Monaco at the moment. This style of boat, this model of Benetti, has been a very popular boat. It sort of borderlines the transition from a flybridge boat over to a tri-decker, so it really attracts a lot of the European crowd. She has great engines in her, the Caterpillar C18s. They're actually not as highly powered as some of the C18s that you see installed in the US. So that means that the cruising speeds and the maximum speeds are a little bit lower than some boats, but also means that with the great common rail fuel Caterpillar system that they have on board, it means that the fuel burn is going to be a lot less and very efficient. So cruising speed 12 knots, maximum speed 14. They have fairly large sized tanks as well, over 5,000 gallons for the fuel, and 1,400 is the water, and they've got some great water makers on board as well. 4 staterooms, a very different layout for the staterooms, again, compared to what you see over here. They actually have a full beam VIP cabin down aft of the engine room, so in between the engine room and the lazarette, and they have a full beam master cabin up on the main deck as well. Now, a lot of American boats that you'll see in this size range will actually have the country style kitchen and then put the master cabin down in the lower decks, but a great take on things here. As I mentioned, she's in Monaco, and at the time we're doing this review, we just did the conversion into US dollars, and that puts her at 6,521,000. So looking into the pictures now, everything about this boat is all sort of revolved around the exterior, and the exterior spaces are really a lot bigger than you would find on US boats, but the knock-on effect of that is that the interior spaces are smaller. Now, the US market generally makes the interior spaces a bit larger because typically a lot of the cruising is done around Florida and the Bahamas in this size range. Some do go down towards the Caribbean, but generally if you're cruising here, it will be sort of in that Bahama, Florida, Keys area, and then during the summer that you would then go over to sort of New England or further west. But the reason for that larger interior volume is it's just too hot to spend as much time on the exterior as boats do that are built for European clients. So European boats, you'll generally find a lot larger exterior, sort of relaxing and social areas, as opposed to the American boats. So you can see that here on Jazz of Monaco, a great example to go through. So this is the main deck. Beautiful seating area there that you can see on that lower photograph. The exterior areas that you can see on that top photograph, I believe that's the flybridge deck, which is almost apart from the helm area, almost all of that deck is all exterior space, and we'll see that on the GA and the deck plans later on. So The top photograph on the left-hand side, that is again the flybridge level. That's a small bar area that you can see there, which is just behind the bridge. So there's really nothing else on the interior on this level except for the pilot house and this small bar area, which is quite an interesting take on things. It means this back deck is enormous back deck here on the flybridge level, and great for exterior sort of dining and seating. The bottom photograph on the left hand side, that's the small sun deck that they have on board here, and we'll be able to see that in some a little bit more detail on the deck plans. And then we move on to the interior on the right hand side. Now it's a pretty beamy boat. It means that the interior volumes feel quite large. You can see on the windows there on that top photograph, sort of towards the back of the photograph, you can see the fairly large mullions that divide the windows, or the pillars that divide the windows. Nowadays, with this boat being 2007, nowadays they're moving a lot more towards just having solid glass down there, and that's through developments in glass technology, and they can use it as a structural piece now, whereas before they had to have these big support beams in between the windows. But nonetheless, they've done quite a good job of making this area really feel open and airy to the outside. Beautiful furniture and interior decor here as well, makes it feel a lot larger than it actually is. So again, sticking with the main deck, that's the forward area of the main salon that we see there before we move into this on-deck master cabin. So the bunk is forward, or the bed rather is forward facing. So on that top photograph on the right hand side, the windows that you see behind the headboard there, that's actually a mirrored headboard, and the windows that you're seeing are the forward facing windows. So you've really got some great views from here. It's nice to be up on this level to be able to see the horizon from your bed. And they do have another full beam master cabin down below, which I mentioned before, which is in between the engine room and the lazarette. So fairly typical sort of early 2000s styling here. Lots of pretty heavy wood veneer for the cabinetry and the furniture. On more modern boats, the interior style of a lot of Benettis has gone a bit more Italian and a bit more flary. This is one of the other cabins here that you can see, the twin cabin. They've actually got the on-deck master, the king, the VIP cabin is the king, and they've also got another double and then this twin. So this is the port side twin, and we can see that in the GA over on the right hand side here. So starting from the right, working left, so the right hand picture is the lower deck, so you can see all the way aft just forwards of the lazarette. That's our VIP cabin, so a real huge cabin there, taking advantage of almost the largest beamed area of the boat. It'll also be fairly stable down here. Not sure how noisy it would be underway, being right above the drive line of the engines, the shaft line. But certainly being down there is very stable, and you really feel the effect of that on larger boats where the main deck, or even some sort of 60-65 meters where you get the owner's level, which is on the flybridge deck. You can imagine in some rough seas it really gets quite swayy up there, whereas if you're down in the lowest part of the boat, it's a lot more stable. But I don't really feel the effects of that too much here because it's not that high off of the waterline. The other two cabins that we have down here is the twin, which we see the photograph of that on the left hand side, and then on the starboard side is the double bed, and then forwards of that, that's the crew area. So you can really see there's quite a large area that's dedicated to crew here. Now, quite often when you put the crew aft, because it's slightly beamier, you can lay out the cabins in such a way that it doesn't take up such a huge volume of the overall length of the boat. So quite a few manufacturers are going to that now. The next photograph is the main deck. There you'll see that large salon and dining area. Then you have the separate galley, and then forward of that is the on-deck master cabin. And you can see there it's forward facing, and you really take advantage of all of those wraparound windows that are there. Now here's where it gets quite different, is the flybridge level. So now we're third layout from the right, and you can see the bridge deck there, the pilot house. After that is that small sort of bar area, and then really there's nothing else on the interior after that point. So whereas a lot of manufacturers will put a sky lounge here, so you have that second lounge, interior lounge area. Here they've gotten rid of that and they've just put this huge exterior deck. Now that's great for the European markets, as it's not quite as humid over there, but trying to do that over here, and it really becomes uncomfortable during the peak times of the season here, because it is so hot and humid. Not to say that it wouldn't be great further south down in parts of the Caribbean. It's such a huge deck area, it really does add a nice element to the boat, but certainly you would want to have an idea in mind of what locations you would want to use the boat to make sure that this area is feasible. So moving up to this next deck. Now this is the sun deck. So they've added to the boat here, they've added this extra deck, and it really gives a nice tri-decker feel to a 100-foot boat, which you don't often get that extra deck. So it's virtually all sun pads and sunbathing. There is a small repeater helm station up here as well, but it's basically just a one big sun pad. So moving into the right up, there weren't too many photographs here, but you can understand the general layout and see the huge differences between the three boats that we had for you today. Now the right up, I'd advise you to request the yacht pack and read through all of this yourself, because it's fairly long-winded in the detailed sort of descriptions that they have here. All great stuff, but just not something that I'm going to run through now. So I'll pick up some major points, and if you want to read through it yourself, then get that yacht pack. So it has the Caterpillar C18 engines that we saw earlier on. The hours that are shown there are from a year ago, so I would certainly get an updated hour count for you if you request the yacht pack. I'll add that in there. Has the Naiad zero-speed stabilizers on here. Has some great water makers, nice generators that they have on board as well. The air conditioning equipment, that's a great European manufacturer. They're used on a lot larger boats as well. The electronics, they have a lot of Sperry and Furuno equipment that you can see here. All of the autopilots and the GPS and depth sounders and radars and things. Everything that you would expect to see on a much more modern boat. The galley and laundry equipment there, with it being European, they fit a lot of the Miele equipment on board, which is top of the range equipment, and is actually now being fitted to a lot of the a lot of the US spec boats as well. The interior sort of entertainment equipment that they have on board, they have it updated with all the flat screen TVs, DVD players, the satellite receivers that are on board. I didn't see, looking through here, whether they have VSAT or not for the internet, but they will obviously have the Fleet 77 internet if nothing else. But I'll find that out and put it inside the yacht pack. So that's it for Jazz of Monaco. A fairly short brochure. I do have some more photographs and things for the boat, which will run through all of these sort of areas that you've seen. The interesting thing and the biggest sort of takeaway here is the difference in the European and the American layout of the boats, and what you can get with the different manufacturers and different models within the same manufacturer. So have a click through to some of the other reviews that are on the site. It'll give you a great overall sort of impression of things that are out there. We do our daily yacht tours every day, so be sure to request a time for that. Click on the button on the right hand side and let us know what time would be best suited for you, and I'm sure we'll be able to fit you in to one of those tours. Now, if you haven't already gotten a copy of the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show guide, that is coming up in a week's time, and the guides are available at fortlauderdaleboatshowguide.com. Request that. It's completely free, and it runs through all of the highlights of the show, all of my picks for the must-sees at the show. They've got 5 or 6 boats for each style of boat that's available at the show. So really is the most comprehensive and detailed guide that you can get for the show. It's got all the maps and restaurants and hotels and things. So get that. It's completely free. And we'll be having the same guides for the Miami show that's in February, and also the Palm Beach show that's in April. So thanks for joining me today. Have a click around the website. Don't forget to request those yacht packs, and I'll see you next time for another Insider Yacht Review.